To whom it may concern. I'm giving you this letter because you have expressed an interest in my experience as a parent of a traumatized attachment disordered child. It is not a story I relate to you lightly.
It is not a story I relate to you lightly. My child has some very special needs, and because of this, so do I.
Because of this, so do I.
I need people to understand.
I need people to understand what our family faces, not just dismiss us as incompetent. It isn't fair what happened to my child or to me, but it is what we're both facing.
Or to me, but it is what we are both facing, and we face it together every day.
First, please know this letter is not the ranting of one isolated, overwhelmed, and oversensitive adult. I did not do this to my child. My child came to me this way. Chances are he would be struggling with these same behaviors and emotions in any family. Once you finish reading this letter, I hope you can entertain the possibility that my child's problems are not the result of poor parenting by me. So here's what happened.
When my child was a little baby, at the time he was most vulnerable, he did not get his basic needs met. Perhaps he was not picked up when crying, not fed when hungry.
She was not picked up when crying, not fed when hungry, left alone for hours, or left with various strangers for days. Perhaps she was beaten.
Perhaps he was beaten, shaken, or otherwise physically or sexually abused. Perhaps he had chronic or unmitigated pain due to medical procedures and had no way of communicating his distress.
Today, I can only guess at the details of my child's trauma, but I will never likely know the full truth. Because of her neglect and abuse, my child became traumatized and was convinced
he was going to die. He soon learned that he could not trust anyone to meet his needs. And every day since, when my child wakes up in the morning, this deep-seated anxiety gets reloaded. In order to survive,
this deep-seated anxiety gets reloaded. In order to survive, she has become unconsciously committed to never, ever being vulnerable again. She uses all of her basic survival intelligence to control an outside world
he feels he cannot trust. All his existential energy is focused on keeping people far enough away so he won't get hurt again, but close enough so that they won't leave him either.
Unfortunately, she is never really satisfied with either proximity and is therefore constantly in a push them away, pull them close dilemma.
As his adoptive or foster or biological parent, I live every day in this no man's land of damaged intimacy. I've been emotionally wounded again and again from the many times I've tried to break through my child's formidable defenses. Those who don't need to get as close.
Formidable defenses. Those who don't need to get as close, teachers, relatives, neighbors, etc., won't experience the full intensity of my child's primal defenses. But if this does happen,
please remember you are witnessing a child stuck in a desperate fight for survival. He has become once again that scared, traumatized baby, absolutely convinced he has to control you and everything in the world in order to be safe. As
her parent, our days together are mostly filled with emotional explosions and uneasy calms between the storms. When it does get quiet, I'm nervous about the next reaction. Each day is filled with anxiety.
Each day is filled with anxiety, fear, guilt, and shame for us both. It is like we're living on an emotional minefield, with the minds regenerating, exploding again and again. The damage done
by early childhood trauma has left my child with the emotional development of a toddler or infant. But the big difference is that my child is not a toddler.
He's much older, knows how to swear, punch a hole in the wall, swing his fists or feet to hurt others. Imagine the terrible twos lasting for years and years, escalating in intensity and effect. It's a scary existence
for all of us. Imposing limits isn't enough. What she needs is help in accepting and reacting to expectations with flexibility and self-control. She needs to move out of this developmental disarray.
He needs to move out of this developmental disarray toward a more civilized, balanced inner process. But in order to do this, our family needs support, and most of all, understanding. We did not expect that this would be our daily reality.
We did not expect that this would be our daily reality, and it isn't at all easy. I may seem stressed, fearful, or angry. I am frequently overwhelmed. I am making significant sacrifices so that my child
I'm making significant sacrifices so that my child can rise above the chaos of his trauma and find true hope and healing.
And find true hope and healing. We all have amazing abilities to adapt, as adversity
can deepen us. Perhaps this will be so for my child as he confronts his deep-seated wounds.
Her deep-seated wounds and transgressions. I hope that the effort and sacrifice I'm making in my life for her,
I'm making in my life for him, along with the help you are now willing to give me,
will make the difference. Help me help my child
realize the true blessing life can be.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.